Week 7, we've. I'm going to talk about the vast number of injuries that we saw, and I'm going to get the Baltimore Ravens because I'm about to talk about how the Baltimore Ravens beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 41-31. Let me talk about the Ravens first. I think if you look at the totality of this year so far, I know that we're a little more than halfway, actually a little less than halfway through the season. And at this point, going into week 8, at this point, we kind of understand what the teams are. Yes, injuries play a huge part, but we're not trying to figure out, like, the weeks are rolling on. And yes, you have the Kansas City Chiefs, now the only undefeated team. And I did say earlier in the show that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best defense in football by like a wide margin at this point. But I think that it's safe to say that at this very moment, Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in football. Well, no. I still would probably, I would still pick Patrick Mahomes as the best player in football, but season by season base, Lamar Jackson has played not only the best football at the quarterback position, in my opinion, this year, but this is the best season he has ever had. And a lot of it is because of the acquisition of Derrick Henry and what that opens up for this team. Lamar Jackson's playing so good. I was talking to a friend of mine, and in fact, she even put it on Twitter. Lamar Jackson we're done examining Lamar Jackson for what he does in the regular season. And I think that was fascinating when she said that. Because in a lot of ways, she is absolutely true. Or what she said is absolutely true. Lamar Jackson is one of probably 2 quarterbacks that the only base that we grade them on is Super Bowl or not. That doesn't take away from how great someone like Josh Allen is. That doesn't take away from how great someone like Joe Burrow is. That doesn't take away from how great someone like, I don't know, let's say Jordan Love or CJ Stroud is. But there are 2 quarterbacks in this league that have played themselves into a realm that if they don't win a Super Bowl, it's considered a bust. This was prompted by me saying on Twitter that I think that Lamar Jackson has played well enough this year to win his 3rd MVP. In fact, if you look at the odds right now, Lamar Jackson is number 1 in line to win his 3rd MVP if he keeps this up, because he is playing the best football he has ever played. And if you look, I think Lamar Jackson has had a plethora of great games. Lamar Jackson it's very hard to pinpoint what his greatest game is, but the game that he had against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football was up there. 5 touchdowns, I think 333 total yards, and it looked effortless. Mind you, this Buccaneers defense is a stout defense. Villa played. Like, this is a great defense. And Lamar Jackson made it look elementary. Mark Andrews is playing well. Remember how much of a slow start he had in the season? And Derrick Henry did Derrick Henry things. He had 15 carries for 169 yards. He had a he had a catching touchdown. Rashad Bateman, 4 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are the only 2 quarterbacks that they've played themselves into a realm. They've played themselves into a category that if they don't win a Super Bowl, at this point, and again, my friend said it, I agree. At this point, it doesn't even matter if Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes at this point wins an MVP, because that's not where they've played themselves to a level higher than that. In all intents and purposes, I was wondering how this Baltimore Ravens team was going to fare. After you lose your defensive coordinator, you lose a bunch of key pieces on the defensive side of the ball. And let's not get it twisted. The defense has not been great. Even on Monday Night Football, the defense wasn't great. Hell, I think the game was already over. And they allowed 21 points in the fourth quarter, but it was the second onside kick that was recovered by a team. You know, I just feel the game was over, and the Baltimore Ravens were trying their hardest to end the game. Hell, they pulled Lamar Jackson at the end of the fourth. So I know it's a 10-point game, but it was much worse than that. And on top of that, they did lose Mike Evans. Again, we'll talk about Chris Godwin in a second. The defense didn't play great. They played great in moments. I know Marlon Humphreys had 2 interceptions, but overall, it was looking like if Mike Evans didn't drop a touchdown and a touchdown wasn't called back for offensive holding, it would have been 21-10. The Ravens would have been down 21-10. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, but still. The defense still needs to play better. There were still way too many penalties. But I will say this. You're starting to see separation at this point. This is the point of the year. This is the point of the season where separation also starts to happen. You start to see the teams that aren't really great. You start to see the middle of the pack teams, and then you have the teams that are separating from themselves. Right now, the Detroit Lions, they're separating themselves from the pack. Right now, you can pretty much say the NFC North is separating themselves outside of maybe the Chicago Bears, even though they are having a great season as well. In the AFC, I think there's 2 teams right now. You have to respect the Kansas City Chiefs because they're the only team that is undefeated right now. And this Baltimore Ravens team. And I was skeptical because, again, when you lose as much as you lose, I didn't know how this team was going to fare. And there are still holes that I fear could be the downfall of the Baltimore Ravens. But what I will say is, with Lamar Jackson playing like this, with Derrick Henry playing like this, with this offense so hard to see. Again, after Monday Night Football, Lamar Jackson's 23-1 against the NFC. So he essentially just has to get to the Super Bowl, and he's going to win if statistics play out right. The Baltimore Ravens exuded dominance. Again, kind of like the Ravens-Cowboys game. The score, it was just a 10-point game, but it was much worse than that. The Ravens just kind of slacked off the fourth quarter. And while I do think that Lamar Jackson is on track to win his 3rd MVP, 2nd straight MVP, I do agree with the people that say that Lamar Jackson has played himself to a position that I'm not going to say MVPs don't matter, but you need a Super Bowl, at least a Super Bowl appearance. That's how good he has been. And for the Buccaneers, I started this by saying that this week has seen a heavy toll, has had a heavy toll on just the league. Deshaun Watson out for the season. Brandon Ayuk out for the season. Now Chris Godwin more than likely is out for the season with a dislocated ankle, and it looked bad. If you saw it live, shouts out to ESPN for not replaying it, but if you saw it live, it looked bad. In the same game, Mike Evans was already questionable if he was going to play with a bad hamstring, and it looked the touchdown pass that he dropped, he re-aggravated his hamstring. And for people that have played sports, for people that know sports, a hamstring is not something that you play with. If a pulled hamstring, like when people say, "Oh, it's just a hamstring," they've never experienced a pulled hamstring. The pain and the seriousness of it is legit. But a team that had, even though they're 4-3 after the loss against the Baltimore Ravens, there was still hope. There was still promise with this Buccaneers team. That is gone. Baker Mayfield played okay, 370 yards. He did have two or three touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But let's not get it twisted. Chris Godwin's 9.9 times out of 10 out for the rest of the season. And I'm not saying Mike Evans is out for the season, but to come in already questionable with a hamstring and then you re-aggravate it and it looked bad, he's going to be out for some weeks. And on top of that, I think the Buccaneers have a pretty tough schedule coming up. This is, as unfortunate as it is, an injury like the Chris Godwin injury and the Mike Evans injury, that is injuries that can derail a season. I know they say next man up, and I don't remember who said it. It might have been Ryan Clark. I don't remember, but they said the next man up, if they were good enough, they wouldn't be the next man up. They'd be there. Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer. Chris Godwin is a great player that already had reconstructive knee surgery. And for the people, the last thing I'll say about this, for the people that are coming for Todd Bowles, you have to understand, like, a 10-point game, especially when it looked like the Buccaneers had momentum and could very well have made it a game, which 10-point game is making it a game. You usually don't take out your starters, especially when you have a chance to win. And for the people that are killing Todd Bowles, saying that he did not put his team in the right position to win, or he didn't put his team in the best position to save themselves from injury. I know a lot of people harken back to the Derrick Rose situation. And this, in my opinion, was completely different from that Derrick Rose situation. That Derrick Rose situation, that to me was malpractice. That was a coach not taking heed to situation. That Chicago Bulls team, for people that don't remember, that Chicago Bulls team that was in the playoffs playing against the Philadelphia 76ers, they were up like 20 points with like 2 minutes to go. Unless you bring all the sliders up and the other team just literally stops playing defense and stands still, there is no way in heaven and hell you're blowing a 21-point lead with any starting five in the NBA. So Derrick Rose should have never been in the game because the game was essentially over. This situation, the Bucks had just scored like 2 touchdowns. They benched Lamar Jackson because they were already up so much. But scoring 2 touchdowns, again, I just said it was 41-31, meaning there was still a chance. I just don't want people to throw Todd Bowles under the bus or question his coaching acumen. Shouts out to Ryan Clark. He said it perfectly. This isn't AAU, bro. If there's a chance to win, these are professionals. You're going to leave your starters out there. It was just an unfortunate situation. What we saw was 2 really good teams. And I think that was lost in the whole situation. You saw 2 really good teams. The difference was number 8 in the Baltimore Ravens jersey and number 22 in the Baltimore Ravens jersey. You saw a team that is really good compared to a team that literally has Super Bowl or bust expectations attached to them. Shouts out to the Baltimore Ravens for beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 41-31. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.